The March on Washington, 1963, was a time of racial unrest which sparked civil rights demonstrations across the country. These demonstrations were interrupted by the cruel whites who turned their hoses and attack dogs on any potential protesters, many of which were in their early teens. These actions were taken in the states of Birmingham, Alabama. Dr. Martin Luther King was arrested and placed in jail during the time of the protesters. While in jail, he wrote his famous letter from Birmingham City Jail, which advocates civil disobedience against unjust laws. Dozens of additional demonstrations took place across the country, from California to New York City. President Kennedy backed a Civil Rights Act, which stalled in Congress by the summer. After Birmingham, President Kennedy proposed a new civil rights bill. To show the bill was widespread support, the civil rights leaders organized a March on Washington. Organizers gathered an amazing protest in which Martin Luther King gave his famous speech, "I Have a Dream."
When he became a man, he would say it for everyone to hear.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
The March on Washington was a protest to gain equal rights, such as jobs and freedom. This protest was attended by more than 250,000 people and was one of the largest demonstrations of civil rights ever seen in the state capitol. It was also the first one to be captured on national television. Next, Carol will explain to you the members of the so-called Big Six organizers.
The March on Washington represented a coalition of several civil rights organizations, all of which had different approaches and different agendas. The so-called Big Six organizers were James Farmer of the Congress of Racial Equality, Martin Luther King of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, John Lewis of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, A. Philip Randolph of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, Roy Wilkins of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and Whitney Young, Jr. of the National Urban League. As to say, this famous march was joined by many famous people, white and black, people such as Baldwin Brado and Jackie Robertson.
Nobody was sure how many people would participate in this demonstration in Washington. An estimate of 250,000 showed, and 1/4 of them were white. There were many speeches demonstrated at this march. The most noteworthy speeches came from John Lewis and Martin Luther King, Jr. King's speeches remain most famous in American history.